What's up, y'all? What's up? So, right now, I don't really got too much to talk about with my Saints, so we're going to jump on the basketball right now on these hell of playoffs. That this has been one of the better playoffs so far, first rounds in a while that I saw. And with specifically, I'm going to talk about this Knicks and Pistons. So, the Knicks go up 3-1. I'm sorry. They go up 3-1. And it's 94. They win the game 94-93. They they blew a 16-point lead early in the game. Pistons came back to fight. Jalen, Brunson, and Karl Towns were on an absolute heater. They took over the fourth quarter. They were amazing guys. Brunson got to his spots. When you have Schroeder guarding him, he feel like Schroeder can't really guard me in the ISO. So I'm going to cook him all night. I'm going to get to my spots. Jalen Brunson is one of the best post point guards in the game. His footwork is probably up there with DeRozan as, just being able to make moves in the post. But he was just hitting these step-back threes in his face. And, obviously what Schroeder has been to the Pistons this year in the playoffs has been amazing. But on the defensive end, let me give y'all a quick stat real quick. Brunson is averaging 13.3 points on Schroeder with 63% shooting. So it's like, you may be giving a little bit of effort, but I'm cooking your ass on the offensive end. I'm cooking you. I'm cooking you all day on the offensive end. And it's obviously Asar starts, the twin, Asar Thompson, the twin, he starts, but you can't play him in the fourth because you could use that defense, but at the same time, it's like I'm going to end up playing 4-on-5. And then these other fools are struggling on the offense and Tim Hardaway and shit like that. So you're really playing 3-on-5. Hardaway ended up making some shots at the end of the game, but for the most part, he's just been lackluster. And he's just one of those guys that 9 times out of 10, it's always these people that come into the playoffs and act like they act like they lose their superpowers. Malik Beasley was doing that bullshit in the first few games. He picked it up at the end, Beasley. But, yeah, he's just, Brunson just having his way. Let me give y'all a stat real quick with Brunson anyway. Brunson had 32 points this game. Towns had 27. They combined for 59 points. So Brunson is averaging 33.3 points per game and 8.8 assists so far. He's the first player in NBA history with 30 points and 7 assists in 4-game stretch. He looks unstoppable right now. He looks unstoppable. And but for Towns, I'm not a huge fan of Towns, to be honest with you guys. I don't like one thing that pisses me off with today's generation of big men. If you're bigger than everybody and nobody can guard you in the fucking post, why are we launching threes all fucking game long? I hate that. I'm not telling people to be a 2000s Chris Webber, Rasheed Watt, back to the basket. I'm not Shaq and a Karl Malone. I'm not saying that. But if you're bigger than everybody and these people cannot defend you for real, why are we settling for threes all damn game? He settles too much. He's the type of player, guys, once he see 2 go in the basket, he's shooting 10. He's shooting all night long from 3 ball. And to me, I feel where it's going to come where when you need him to hoop and maybe in the second or third round, if they get past there, I feel like he's going to come up short. He's better than Julius Randle. But it ain't that much big of a difference if you're asking me. People who are acting like he's the savior of the New York Knicks and all of this shit. Oh, he's the Tim Duncan for them and all this bullshit. He's not on that level with Jokic and Embiid. I'm sorry. I see it coming. And I think it was the second game where they lost. He didn't get the amount of shots he was supposed to take. I think he only took like 3 shots in the second half. That's more so a Brunson in his ISO ball, pounding the ball, and Thibodeau not getting him to his spots. And I'm going to get to the rest of the team and Thibodeau in a second. But I see where this is going for the Knicks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a hater. I give credit where credit is due. They were absolutely phenomenal in the fourth. They continue to keep struggling in the third quarter, blowing these leads. I don't know what's going on in the third quarter, but they worked so hard to get back. Josh Hart has been a stat sheet stuffer with his points and rebounds, but at the end of the day, y'all are struggling against a team that this should really be a 4-1 or 4-0 sweep. It really should be. The Pistons, everything they with the free agent signing has been A+. Tobias Harris is actually stepping up to the plate, being a vocal leader, and he was playing great defense on Cat. He has, talking to him, being disrespectful, getting in his face. That's the Tobias we wanted to see on why we paid the money. Same thing, you trade Dennis. Dennis has been absolutely phenomenal on the offensive end. Not so much on the defensive end, but phenomenal on the offensive end and just a veteran leader. And Beasley has been the best three-point shooter in the NBA this season. I think he was number one, of at least top 5 three-point percentage, I think. And then Tim Hardaway, he has his spurts where he struggles, but he's been a positive A+. And you build all of that around Cade Cunningham. And Cade Cunningham is the SGA on a lower level for the Pistons. He's an old school player. He likes to get his damage done in the mid-range. He's a patient, mature point guard. And 9 times out of 10, he's bigger than everybody at his position. As years gonna grow up, as he continues to grow throughout the years, he's gonna be one of the best players. And he got to his spot at the end of the game. Just missed a shot. Got to the mid-range, in the middle of the floor, just missed a shot. You got to make that, Cade. That's what's going to separate you for you to take that next level. You got to hit that. But it's okay. They're young. They're learning. This is their first year. This is really I think they game 2 was their first win since 2008, since the Chauncey Billups era and Rasheed Wallace and Tayshaun Prince. So, nobody's expecting the Pistons to win this series or nothing. Just be competitive. That's all. Just be competitive and get you some playoff reps like Cade and Jalen Duren and Thompson, these young kids. Just get you some reps and learn from this and just compete. And, was it a foul call at the end of the game with Tim Hardaway? It was. It should have been called. But J.B. Bickerstaff, the Pistons head coach, which I think should be the coach of the year, he's complaining. He's whining. Tom Thibodeau was whining, I think, game 1 or game 2 about fouls. Them refs ain't calling that bullshit. I love it. This is what we want. I love the physicality. This is what we want. I don't want to be watching a playoff game. Every goddamn 5 minutes is foul calls like the Timberwolves and Lakers game. I don't want to see that on my screen. Now, that should have been that was a blatantly foul call, but God, they haven't been, that game was so physical in a 2000s, late 90s experience of just physical basketball. And as for the Pistons, y'all want to play that. So don't complain about it now when it ain't on y'all end. I don't want to hear about all of that. Oh, they got more of the foul calls. Cade should get more foul calls. Bruh, I think game 2, the Pistons got to the free throw line 34 times. Game 2. So they weren't calling it. They were not that whole game yesterday, they were not calling ticky-tack fouls. The referees, that referee crew before that game, bro, it's going to have to be a war. It's going to be a war. We not calling that bullshit. We not giving y'all all those ticky-tack calls on both ends. Y'all going to have to fight it out. And that's what they did. In crunch time, the Knicks pulled it out. But J.B. Bickerstaff, bro, you just got to get your team ready next game and compete. I don't want to hear all of that. I don't want to hear none of that. Sitting at the podium at the press conference, talking about all of I'm not getting the calls and all that. We not getting the call. I don't want to hear none of that bullshit. You play and you defend. Should have been a call with Tim Hardaway. Absolutely. It just didn't go your way. The referee said, we out of here, man. Come on. They gone. They going to get their drink after the game, man. They ain't got time to be sitting here in overtime with y'all fooling around with this bullshit. Well, probably not overtime. Pistons would have won the game, but I ain't got time for that, because then if I would have called it, then people going to be complaining about, oh, how can you call that at the end of the game with a playoff game on the line? That's probably how they looking at it. Then what pisses me off with media and us fans sometimes is like, we complain when it's too much fouls, then we not complaining when it ain't no fouls. Like, it's like referees sometimes they can't win for losing, but in that instance you got to make that call. But as for the Knicks, I see where this is going. And Thibodeau, I'm glad he got it together, because after the Pistons tied at 1-1, it was rumblings, and it's been rumblings for this past year, that these Knicks fans and Knicks media, you're really treading on thin ice, Tom Thibodeau. You're really treading on thin ice, man. And I see where this is going. This is cool that y'all managing to win the game against these young Pistons. That's fine and all. But you play this ISO ball, and everybody just looking around, just waiting for Brunson to make a play for 24 seconds of the shot clock, just looking around. Guys, do you know everybody else outside of Brunson and Towns had 30 points? Do y'all know that? I think Bridges and Anunoby had 8 points. I think Josh Hart had probably 14. The bench ain't giving you nothing, because Tom Thibodeau it's no bench. They don't have a bench. Trey McBride is iffy. Campaign had a good game one. He was one of the driving forces in them winning, having that miraculous record-breaking comeback in game one. But other than that, guys, it's like Brunson, that's fine and all what you're doing, because this is elite point guard play. But when you're going against these Celtics and Cavs later in these rounds, or if you meet up with the Pacers, I don't know. But this shit is not going to work. This is not going to work. This is not going to work all game. Playing this iso ball, just waiting for Brunson and Towns to make a play. You're pounding the shot clock. Then you throwing the ball up to Towns. Luckily, for the grace of God, Towns was making every end of the shot clock shot yesterday. He was making some miraculous shots. But you play that way against the Celtics, it's going to be a long night. You play that way against the Cavs, and the way the Cavs are playing, it ain't just two people, Mitchell and Garland, having 30, 40 points. It ain't none of that. Strus is giving you some buckets. Ty Jerome is giving you some buckets. Sam Merrill is giving you some buckets. DeAndre Hunter is giving you some buckets. And then we have inside two, we got twin towers in the post. That they not letting all of that inside shit get in the paint. And don't get me started with the Celtics, with one of the best. They're the top two. If you feel like the Thunder are better than the Celtics, you feel like the Celtics are better than the Thunder, it's no. But they are probably one of the two best teams. In the way the Celtics, it look like it's going to be a repeat. Because we can defend. You can't. Who you going to switch Brunson on the offensive end? Derek White is one of the best defenders in the game right now. Drew is not playing, but he's still playing at a high level on defense. All Porzingis got to do is stay healthy. The Celtics already play great team defense. Jalen Brown, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you can play this outside ball against these Pistons because they don't really have a lot of guys that can create their own shot for the most part at a high level. Dennis can, Beasley, he's more of a three-point shooter. He can create a shot a little bit, but when you're going against these elite teams that can get it, I mean, they're using 7, 8-man rosters. They're going deep into their rotation. And when you're playing these guys are getting 59 points between the two of them, Towns and Brunson, and these other guys are just looking around, not really doing nothing, not getting in the rhythm. Eventually, that's going to wear thin. And I'm going to say this for Tom Thibodeau. You better at least get this team to the conference finals because you're walking on thin ice, bro. They're already getting frustrated with you overplaying these players for all these minutes. But at the end of the day, bro, it's like I kind of see his perspective. I don't have a bench. Now, Mitch Robinson need to get more minutes so he could kind of protect the paint for some minutes. Give them good minutes on the defensive end. But it's not much of a bench, guys. So he kind of has to play him, but it's the same way with how D Rose went out. Eventually, people are going to get tired, and they're going to get a little weaker as the season progresses. So as these playoff series progress. So as far as I'm concerned, man, this has been hell of a series. This is the best. Has been the best series in the Eastern Conference, and we all know with the Western Conference has been the Clippers and the Nuggets, but they're fighting. Both of these teams are fighting, but Thibodeau, bro, you're gonna have to figure this out because this can work against the Pistons, but come these next series, I don't know who you're gonna match up with on the top of my head, but you're gonna have to figure this out because this is not gonna work. I see where this is going, bro. I see where this is going. I see where it's going. I see it, guys. And I pray that the Knicks figure it out because at the end of the day, you won't like to see the Knicks in the finals. That's going to give some great energy for New York, but you can't continue to play 2-on-5 all night and expect to win against these elite Eastern Conference teams. I'm out.